got a call from Jonathan Palmer at BSB one day, and it's one of the most stressful weekends to be a Cadwell Park circuit manager is BSB weekend. I need you to sort out Ron Haslam landing his aeroplane on Park Straight. I was like, Jonathan, I can't. Oh, no, he's done it before. Yeah, probably in the 80s. I can't. Hiya, it's Anne Haslam. I'm with Ron.
We're on finals.
We're on our way. Jonathan said it's fine to park at Cadwell. So parking's not the issue, Anne. That weekend, there was a plane parked in the middle of the right park in the middle. I got the biggest bollocking from the safety advisory group you have ever heard.
Surprised.
The wrap-up event.
Hi guys, welcome back to the Drive Life podcast. Delighted today to be joined by Paul Woodford, TV presenter, motorsport aficionado, self-confessed rally nerd.
Yep, I think that pretty much covers it. Official rally nerd, really. I think the self-confessed is long gone.
Yeah, to be fair, I think everybody knows you as the rally nerd. Welcome to Drive Life podcast, Paul. For those people who don't know who you are, do you want to just do a quick synopsis of how much of a rally nerd you actually are?
Yeah, Mum and Dad were rally drivers back in the old motoring news days, and the road rally days are good old days. So I was always destined to be into rallying. Since then, I decided I wanted to be a rally driver. Ran out of talent and money, which is some going, isn't it?
In that order?
Well, no, I think probably both order. You could pick either. By my early 20s, I'd realised I wasn't going to be the next Colin McRae. So I decided that from there on in, my dream would be motoring broadcasting, and that soon found its way back to rally broadcasting, and there it has been ever since. And I'm very privileged that I've been able to have another go at pretending to be a rally driver. And people now give me cars because we get to tell stories with them. So I kind of see myself as a bit of a rally storyteller. I've found the adventure in the sport, and I'm keen to promote it because I don't think as a bunch of people, we have enough in common anymore. And I think in the days when the Lombard RAC rally used to captivate the nation, I think we all had a lot more in common because we all used to come home from work and school, watch the same things on TV, gather around the radio. We used to go to events together. There's just too much going on now. And everyone's forgotten that there is this, what's become a very niche sport, which is actually the best sport in the world. And it's my personal mission to make sure everyone knows about it. That's how much of a rally nerd I am.
And I do admire your passion for it, and that's one thing you cannot deny, is how passionate you are about it. I've known you, seen you on the screens for a long time, seen you out and about on events for a long time, and you've always been the same. You just come across, it's like you just want to be absorbed in it. And that does come across really well. And
I'm genuinely excited about it. If there's a chance to be around rally cars, and my kids are getting it as well, particularly, my eldest is co-driving for the first season in the Mini Rally Challenge this season. My 11-year-old would do anything to come to a rally event with me, and does come to everything. We've even had special permission from school.
He's behind the camera
He's
now,
in the production crew today, but he's even had special permission from school to do some rally media on a rally at the Jim Clark rally. So, as a family, we are completely rally obsessed.
So your parents pleased about the route you've taken?
Yeah, I think they're just pleased that they were able to give me something which has given me, a chance to make a career out of it, but also give me something that gives me a lot of joy, and has allowed me to kind of explore creatively my passion and my hobby. And not many people get to do that, do they?
No, you're in a very, very lucky position.
Yeah.
I mean, if you ask 100 people, if you get one or two that say they are passionate about their job and enjoy it, I think you'd be doing well to get one or two out of that.
Yeah, so I think that's what my mum and dad are most pleased with. I mean, I come from a family where, we don't give it the big one. We are pleased with our success, but we then look for some more success. And my mum was a head teacher, my dad ran a business, and, I've just learned to get my head down and work hard.
Get up in the morning and,
right,
what am I fighting for today?
Yeah, and if I have a day when I'm not doing something at the weekend, I'm a pain. I'm a real pain. You just have to ask my wife. She almost shoos me and Cole out of the house. Go and find something rallying or classic cars to do.
Speaking of which, happy wedding anniversary was it yesterday, day before?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, it's all right. So she's pleased to get you out of the house today.
Absolutely, yeah.
So how much celebration? Do you have an hour or two a day?
Yeah, pretty much.
That,
I was actually editing a video about Ian Joel and his MRF Escort Cosworth that's come back from the ashes on our wedding anniversary. So I was like, just a minute, she was doing a 3-course meal. I was like, just hold mains up. I've just got to get this video finished.
You're not lying either. I know you're genuine when you say that because I know what
that's
you're
real.
like.
Yeah.
I can tell that.
She'll be in the comments.
She'll be the first one and only one on there.
Yeah, I sometimes get it levelled at me that if I'm not driving a car, all she sees is the top of my head because I'm editing something to do with cars. And
Yeah, it's probably how many years you've been married?
13.
Yeah, it's
Lucky
probably-
13.
Probably why it's lasted so long.
Yeah.
I know, it's what my wife says. I've been 20 a lot. And yeah, we pass, sort of, I'm coming in the door, she's going out the door. It's,
Yeah.
that's why it works, I think.
I think if you're happy, if you're doing something you love,
Yeah,
then you're a bit more content with everything else in your life. And
Exactly.
everything falls into place. So I think
100%.
being passionate and being able to do the rallying and being, I guess not allowed to, but my wife being keen to support me in that as well, does make it a happy partnership.
Yeah, your list of accolades, people you've interviewed, things you've done is just. I know you reasonably well, and I know things you've done. But doing a bit of research before we sat down to do this, even I was gobsmacked about some of the things you've done in the past, and it just keeps going and going and going. But I think I'm right in saying you're more passionate about grassroots stuff. Am I correct in saying that? Or is that just one string to the bow?
No, I'm hugely passionate about it because of what I mentioned earlier. There are a whole load of people who could get a lot of enjoyment from our sport that don't know it exists, and there are then a raft of people who know it exists but think it's really hard to get into. And I think grassroots motorsport, I've met so many great people in my life through grassroots motorsport, and I did my time kind of trying to chase the dream of presenting the WRC, and it wasn't all it was cracked up to be, I'll be honest. I love the sport at that level, and I love the cars, I love the carrots, I love the driving, but as a career move, as something to put everything in my life into, I didn't feel like I got enough back from that to make it worthwhile. And then I found out that club rallying, grassroots motorsport was where I had a bit of a reset moment, really. It was a number of years ago, and I won't go into the story because I'll probably offend a few people who were involved in my decision-making around that time who I don't think that highly of because of the way that they approach certain things. But I suddenly realised that everything I loved about the sport, everything it had given me, and everything that kind of got me out of bed in the morning to do what I was doing was at club level. And I've turned down the opportunity to go to Rally Ceredigion and do some ERC stuff in the next few weeks because I'm doing some club motorsport. So, when you realise that you would actually choose a grass auto test over going to the European Rally Championship and interviewing the drivers,
that's
because
a big
that's what makes you tick. I think, yeah, you're probably right, but I hadn't looked at it like that.
As you know, I've been involved in rallying for years, less so in the latter years, if you like. It's such a close-knit community.
Yeah.
You see the same people over and over again. Such a caring community. Somebody's car breaks. Oh, have you got a spare? Yeah, I've got one of those. There you go. And that's what it's like. I see people I haven't seen for years, especially come down the Motorist, rally days, People I haven't seen for 10 years. Oh, how are you? Great, I haven't seen you. And it's almost like a family.
One of the worst experiences I ever had in this sport was Goodwood Festival of Speed. I was contracted to work for one of the big fuel providers. Let's not mention names in this.
Yep.
And I loved that experience, and they did a great job of looking after me, and it was great fun from that point of view. I found it so elitist. Bear in mind, I was on that side of things. I just felt like it was geared towards people who had a lot of money, people who had a high profile, and it didn't feel like, and loads of people will watch this and go, "You're wrong." I'm a everyday man or woman, and I absolutely love Goodwood, and that's fine.
But you
I might be wrong.
Describe it from what you see.
Yeah, and so that's one of the worst experiences I've had. I just felt like it was all wrong. It was geared wrong, and yet one of the best experiences I've had was recently here at the Motorist when York Motor Club did a grass auto test demonstration. And it was just brilliant. It was full of great people who were genuinely passionate about getting bums on seats in rally cars, experiencing grassroots motorsport, just here on a slither of grass that Dan Spinks was very kind enough to let us ruin.
How much fun can you have?
Do you know what? It was, I posted when I got home, and I posted saying, "I'm dusty, I'm knackered, I smell of hydrocarbons, I'm sunburnt, and I'm happy."
But what would you have been doing?
Yeah, I loved
What
it.
would you rather be doing? Yeah.
Yeah.
The first event I ever did was an autotest on a stubble field over near Blomqvist, the other side of Selby, and Jim Kilmartin lent me a Mini to do it.
Oh, wow. What a legend he
And it
was.
was just, I can still remember it to this day. Absolutely brilliant.
He
Loved it.
logbooked our first rally car when
Did
I
he?
was building it with my
Yeah.
dad, and I remember him talking me round it.
Yeah.
I love that guy.
Legend of a bloke. He got me into motorsport.
Did he?
Yeah. So, quick story. Me and my mates, we passed our driving tests, and we used to just, fill up with fuel on the night, drive to York, drive around the car parks, a few handbrake turns, drive back again. That was our evenings. And it was a guy in a local petrol station said, "What are you doing this weekend, guys?" I said, "Well, nothing, why?" He said, "Oh, you're not going up to the rally?" And it was was it the Cartel or the Talkland back in the day?
Oh, yeah.
And it started in Bradford. And I said, "Where do we find out about that?" And he said, "Oh, I'll tell you what, it's Friday, go up to Selby Motor Club."
Nice.
They meet on a Friday night, and we're like, "Well, what? Selby Motor Club? What's that?" Rally club. And literally, we drove to Selby Motor Club, walked in really sheepishly, feeling, oh, God. Jim Kilmartin was the first person to meet us in there. And it was like, come on in, guys, welcome, never look back.
What a legend. I don't want it to sound like I'm ungrateful for the experiences I've had at the other end of the sport. I do love WRC. I love the international part. I love the BRC. I have just sort of almost found my adventure a little bit more rooted to the ground in recent years. And I missed the grassroots part when I first went into rallying because I was that hell-bent on being a rally driver. Stage rallying was it for me. I went straight into it. I did a bit of hill climbing for a couple of events, but then it was stage rally cars, and that's probably why I ran out of talent and money, because I didn't really start with how, like I'm doing now actually, with how do I learn the sport. And so having rediscovered that, that's almost more exciting, because second time round, I've got the treat of finding out about autotest, production car trials and all that stuff for the first time around. And I guess...
with that camaraderie.
Yeah, and I guess I'm lucky in that as well. So I don't for a minute want it to sound ungrateful. I just found that, chasing the stars at the top of the sport doesn't necessarily deliver what you think it will when you get a little slither of it, a little taste of it.
I completely get that. I remember the first time I met Colin McRae. It was on a road section, and he was queuing at an arrival to go into a stage. He had a million things on his mind, and it was completely the wrong time to approach him. I can see that now. But he was very short and very snappy. I thought, oh, what a miserable sod. In hindsight, it was the wrong time to approach him, because he's a elite sports guy. He was getting in the zone, and you can't do that. It's the wrong time to do that,
But you've done something I've never done, which is interview Colin McRae. I've watched him by the side of the stage. I was once on ITV News, on the Tea Time News, described as the Rubber Welly Brigade, with me and my younger brother and my dad. I can't remember how old I'd been, probably 11. I think I was 11 Cole's age, actually. It was a 95 RAC.
Okay.
And I've watched him whistle past, thump past in his 555 Subaru. Never met him. Never interviewed him, and that's something, obviously, I'll never get to do. And we all remember where we were.
Regret. Yeah, completely.
When we heard about the helicopter crash. So that's one. I can't change it, but that's one.
It's just that. Yeah, one.
So you got one up on me
If you could go back in time, and
Tony Pond's another one, but then I wasn't ever old enough.
So Tony
alive
Pond's
enough
a bit before my time. So I got into motorsport late 80s. So I just missed Group B, which I'm gutted about, because if I was aware of it at the time, I'd have gone to watch it, which I find a bit bizarre, because my poster car on my wall was a Stratos.
Yeah, which is pre-Group B, obviously.
Exactly. So I don't know why I missed that period. I suppose I was just being a teenager, doing teenager things, and it just never even entered my head. And I didn't get into cars until I passed my driving test, but then I got properly into it.
I think that is a similar story, though, for a lot of people. My dad didn't even know really that rallying existed. His family was all Formula One. His dad he took him to the BRM factory as a kid. And then 1972 RAC, when Roger Clarke won in the Uniflow SO Mark 1 LVX 942J. I had the poster on my wall as a kid. With Tony. That's when my dad suddenly sat up and took notice.
Right.
But you know why he sat up and took notice? Because it was headline news. It was on everyone's coffee table the next morning. And if I can do anything while I've got the privilege to be able to tell these stories and have a bit of a platform to do it, it is to get rallying and motorsport in general back to some kind of profile where people know about it. And events like we had, you and I, at the weekend, where we had the cross-country bowler and the Milner here at a Cops and Cars event at the Motorist, introducing a whole new audience. I don't think we stopped all day getting people to climb in and out of that bowler.
It's a busy day.
Those days are important.
Speaking of which, on the phone call for my raffle winning tickets.
No, do you know, I've not seen who. I drew them, of course. I should remember. I can't remember who's actually.
So you'd have remembered if it was me, wouldn't you?
Well, that also shows you weren't watching our live Facebook draw, Jim. So
I was back in a stand-up.
You sleepwalked into that one, didn't you?
Yeah, probably.
No, I don't think you
life.
would. But if you can climb in, you're very welcome to come and have a ride around with me.
Climbing in's will be fine. Getting out,
Gisborne.
Oh, I love Gisborne.
I need it to be dry because it looks fast.
Yeah.
And I crashed it into a tree last time.
Moving on swiftly.
Because it was wet. It was the rain's fault.
That's your excuse.
It was the rain's fault.
I'm gonna jump ahead here a little bit. Sparks Mini.
Yeah.
Was that your inaugural event at Cadwell?
Yeah. Yes. So my first event ever at Cadwell was in 1987 when I was 3 years old. And I've been going to Cadwell to watch rally cars. I ran the circuit for 5 years, 4 or 5 years, from 2017. And I've done pretty much everything there is to do at Cadwell Park. I've done my race licence there. I have done all sorts.
Including?
I've filmed Top Gear there and all that kind of stuff, including...
Crashing into a concrete?
Well, I'd never done that by this point.
You've ticked
and so a lot of people have ambitions bigger than driving a rally car, club rally car at Cadwell Park, right? But that was one of my absolute... Actually, the ambition is to win a rally at Cadwell Park, and I didn't nail that brief, did I? But no, I'd never driven one there. And I was so excited about it. And I let the excitement get beyond me, and you know, the rest is history. Everyone that meets me now mentions fence posts. Even my youngest son, who joined me as course car on an event recently in Lincoln, just said to me at the start, "Right, watch out for fence posts, Dad." And no, that's the middle son, but the youngest one. They all do it. To be fair, my wife even does it. Yeah, so I ran out of talent very quickly on that one, right in front of everyone, hit the grandstand, and it was very messy. But it was started. It was very public, and I was gutted. I was genuinely gutted, actually. Yeah. And it started something, because the story of the team then repairing the car, there was a hole in the gearbox. You know, I'd stoved it that badly, and they fixed the thing.
It was a whack.
What we did was we cleaned it off, but with all the gaffer tape and all the bits of bodywork hanging off, we wheeled it in here, pushed it into the Motorist, and it sat here in the restaurant in what was then the Arnage. Yeah. It sat there for 3 weeks, and people I knew came to... My mum came to have a meal here with her friends. Came with her ex-school teacher friends to have a meal here and sit and have a meal next to my son's crash rally car.
Was she aware it was here?
Yes.
Oh, right, okay. So you didn't just turn up
No.
Oh, I recognise that.
No, my co-driver, Julia Perry, actually drove all the way from where she is in Herefordshire, all the way to the Motorist just to see it on display in the restaurant, because we'd had such an adventure in the car. And I wish that car still existed. It had an almighty crash in the hands of its new owner, David Burden, a year after that, and it doesn't exist anymore. But it was one of two Spark Minis that frequented the restaurant here, as I have many a time. Yep. And none of them ever remained unscathed. That one had a blown engine.
But that's what rally cars are all about.
Yeah.
It's to make stories, make memories, make adventures.
But I've finished 2 rallies in a Spark Mini, and I've come first Mini as well.
Have you?
Since then in a Spark Mini. So back at Cadwell as well.
Yeah. So the box ticked, and you've got
that. And now they've got me crashing rallycross cars instead. But Spark Development started something for me, because I was on my 40th birthday, and I mean this when I say I was quite depressed about that. I know it sounds a bit naff, but I had all these big plans in my life. Obviously, we've discussed the fact that I wasn't Colin McRae by my mid-20s, and I certainly wasn't by my early 40s. And I was really depressed about certain things I hadn't achieved by the age of 40. And I remember driving, I didn't want a big celebration. I said to my wife, we'll go and get Chinese. And in fact, I think Cole was with me, actually. We drove to the Chinese in the next village. And I'm sitting there in the waiting room, grabbed me do you remember? He grabbed me a fortune cookie. And I've got a picture because I put it on my Instagram. I can't remember exactly what it said now. I should have checked before doing this. But it says something like, everything you work for is about to come true, or something really naff like that. And I'm not superstitious. And I was like, what a joke. But I stuck it on my Instagram anyway. And I think I posted something like, here we go then. And literally walking from the Chinese back to the car with a big box under my arm, my phone's ringing. He's like, phone's ringing, Dad. I didn't recognise the number, so I'll ring it back later. And it rang, and it was Spark. And they were like, look, we're starting something. We're going to be building some rally minis, and we want someone to drive them that can make a bit of noise. fully paid for, sponsors paid for. Do you want to drive at Cadwell Park? I know you've always wanted to do a rally there. Just turn up and drive.
Let me think about it a minute.
And suddenly my 40th birthday wasn't too bad after all. I'd actually decided I wasn't going to do that. It was a stupid thing to do. I got home and was laughing about what a stupid thing that was to my parents and to my wife, and everyone was looking at me going, "You said no."
What?
So I rang him back and said, "Yeah, I'll do it actually." And that started something for me, and a friendship with the team there, and also a new adventure.
I've got a good bunch of lads.
Yeah, it's a new adventure that we started, and very grateful to them for doing that. And I've been on many with them since, and we've relied on each other a little bit since then as well in the last couple of years. So it's it kind of changed a lot for me that day.
Have you downloaded the Drive Life app? It's the ultimate social media for petrol heads. Discover events, document your automotive journey, and share photos and videos along the way. Download the app today, free of charge. It's available on the Google and Apple stores. Going back before that then, you said you quickly realised we didn't have any talent at the driving. Where did you...
It's not strictly true.
No, you realised
Other
that.
people realised that. I thought I had plenty of talent. Still do, Jim.
You've learned some along the way.
I thought I was very talented. I was just being very modest at that. Yeah, no, I did.
Where's this love of presenting actually come from then? Was that something you've always had, do you think?
Yeah, my mum's very musical.
Okay.
So I did grade 7, grade 8 on the French horn, the piano. I played in orchestras, did Mozart's horn concerto in F.
I'm not saying that on your social.
With a full orchestra behind me. No. I wish I still did it, actually, because I gave that up to try my hand at being a rally driver. I couldn't do both things to any real degree. But no, I'm very musical. I'm very dramatic, as anyone who knows me will know. There'll be people watching this going, yeah, he is. Yeah. Spark Developments will be going, yeah, he is. Yeah. My wife will be saying, yes, he is. So I did script writing and drama at uni.
Which uni did you go to?
Hull.
Okay.
Simply because I was building my first rally car. I needed my student loan payments to pay for that and not pay
rather
for
than your accommodation.
And accommodation and boring things, really.
Parents paid for the sustenance and
I was just I was just an entertaining dramatic lodger. I've always been dramatic, and I always wanted to be a broadcaster as well as being a rally driver. It's just a good job I had 2 dreams when the first one was a bit unrealistic.
So what was the first presenting job? Did you do hospital radio? Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, because everyone says, well, actually, Richard Hammond is one of my real life heroes. And followed a path that I would quite like to follow.
Was it Radio Humberside he was at? Or?
Radio York.
Your Radio York it was, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, and he started on hospital radio in York. So I thought, well, obviously that's where I should start. And everyone starts at hospital radio, don't they? So I went to hospital radio in Hull and started doing radio shows. And basically, I had people ringing in who were on ventilators, and they just heavy breathed at me down the phone. It was a really strange experience. And then my wife, who was then my girlfriend, would tune in out of sympathy, I think, and she would give song requests. So the playlist was exactly the same every night, because it was the music that my wife and I liked in a different order sometimes.
So you'd got 3 listeners, 2 of them just heavy breathed at you, and one...
By the end of the night, I usually had one less, because usually one of them had died. Yeah. Well, they didn't ring back, so I was presuming that was the case. Such is the glamour of hospital
the
radio.
Wrong switch.
Yes, or maybe it was just the playlist that got too monotonous. But I upset the people at the hospital radio because I had ambitions to do something other than that, and I got a commercial radio contract, which was kind of the holy grail. I want to write a sitcom about hospital radio one day, so I don't want to give you too many spoilers. But they used to have posters around the studio. In fact, there was no actual sound deadening because of the amount of A4 paper on the walls with different instructions. And I was notorious for just having sign blindness, and I didn't follow the latest signs that probably said things like, please mix up the music playlist. And they used to have meetings about things all the time. And there was a meeting about me getting a contract in commercial radio, and the fact that I'd used Hull Kingstown Radio to get a contract in commercial radio.
But is that not what
I turned up at the meeting because I missed the memo that it was about me, and I shouldn't have seen the memo. So I rocked up at this meeting, and had a raging debate about the fact that I was still going to. No, you're not staying in hospital. Right? Anyway, long story short, I've still got some friends who did that with me at the time, and we have a laugh about it. But I did commercial radio, and it was I suppose it was the first time I'd really in my life aimed for something that seemed a little bit out of reach. How on earth do you become a radio presenter and get paid for it?
Yeah.
You just do it. You go and you do it. You find a way, and you just don't stop until you do it. And you
keep
keep
the floors. And
honestly,
work
I
your way
was
up.
sending letters, and I was sending letters to the same person over and over again. And in the end, he got fed up of me. Chris Sigsworth from UKRD Radio, who was managing director of Yorkshire Coast Radio in Scarborough.
Yep.
Place I've spent a lot of time in. I love that place. I love the radio station. So I started there, and eventually, out of sympathy, I think he gave me a Saturday afternoon, a Sunday afternoon show. And then suddenly I had 4 listeners in my life. And none of them died.
They weren't going to pass away that week.
They were all alive by the end of the show. None of them were listening, but they were alive. And it was a good lesson in, I can do that. And around the same sort of time, the rally TV thing was starting to kick off. I'd been doing it with a bunch of mates before that. We've been doing it 17 years now.
Have you really?
Yeah, so that really came first, but
so was that special
wasn't
stage?
Professional to begin with. Yeah, that was special stage, but back then we were MC video.
Okay.
And most of my rally cars at the time carried MC video, and then when we'd come up with special stage, which was just an idea that Wayne just texted me one day saying, "What about special stage with an orange arrow?" I thought, "What?" So I remember texting back saying, "Could get a little confusing." So there we are.
Works.
But
Everybody
then
knows
suddenly
it.
my car had both. So you'll
Both
see on some
logos.
pictures it's got both logos on. But we started with cross country, ironically, and Wayne is a bit of an introvert. Doesn't really like, hates the limelight, hates being in front of a camera or on a microphone, but really wants to make rally TV. Really wanted to make rally TV. I loved all of that stuff. Didn't like the boring technical stuff behind the scenes. So we were sort of a perfect match. And 17 years later, we are the biggest provider of rally TV. It's quite a journey. We've done everything from the WRC downwards.
So what are your ratings like now? Compared to I guess day one, you'd have, like you say, your 4 listeners.
Do you know what? When we stopped being on TV, as it were, with Men and Motors on Motors TV, or what it was
Motors
called,
TV, wasn't it?
we actually went up. The viewing figures went up because that was the point where people were starting to watch everything online, on demand.
On demand, right?
And they didn't want to wait till 3 o'clock in the morning to watch Paul Woodford talk about rally cars. They could do it
Whenever they wanted.
Yeah, or put it on in the background, go in a different room and wait until I finish and then go back in the room. So, they could do it their way. But if I tell you that on the Roger Clarke rally, the RAC rally, the Reborn as it is now, we had something like 3.3 million viewers over that week.
Yep.
That's where
That's the level
come
you're
from.
at now.
Yeah, and
Which is phenomenal.
there's a lot of people who have worked really hard on that. People often think it's me, and people will come up to me and either complain about something we've done or congratulate me on special stage. And actually, there's a lot of people behind the scenes. All I did was have the easy job of talking and enjoying myself.
Yeah, it's like me. I just sit here and look good, and he's laughing now. He does all
Well, he's
that.
also nodding, Jim.
Yeah, he does all the hard work.
Harry's nodding.
Yeah, all the fetching, carrying, lifting. Yeah. Apparently there's some editing or something goes on.
A lot of that.
I don't believe that for 1 second.
But you'll know it's hard work.
Apparently
it's just
his good lady's fed up of waking up in the morning listening to me, because he'll be editing when she wakes up in the morning. First
Can
thing
you
she hears is
imagine?
my voice.
At least you don't edit your own stuff. My wife has to listen to me editing my
Editing your
voice,
own
which
stuff.
must be invariably worse.
Yeah.
At least Harry's listening to another man
What do the kids think to
in
that?
bed. They're used to it. They're used to it. We'll be watching a film or we'll be out somewhere, won't we? And I'll be listening. You'll know, Harry. I'll be listening to the same soundbite over and over again to listen again. And I need to just fade that out a bit more. I need to bring that in. And it's the same bit over and over again. Yeah.
Just
I've
watch
started
the
to like
finished
doing that
product
side.
looking
of it.
good.
I almost wished I'd learned a bit more of the technical side. Our special stage camera crew sort of grown a little bit that I do everything on a phone. When they've got all this posh kit that we use, and I don't know how to use any of it.
I've seen you here at events, and you just a minute. Blah, blah. Yeah,
I look like a
that one's
teenager,
gone.
don't I? I'm just walking around on my phone, but I'm actually editing.
yeah.
And I've learned, although my wife says I don't do it very well, I think I do. I've learned to hold a conversation and edit. And I have to apologise to people. I remember doing it to you on Saturday.
You did.
I
You
am
did it
listening,
to me
Jim.
on
I'm
Saturday.
editing.
We were chatting. You just went, just give me 1
Yeah.
second.
I'm just editing, yeah.
Yeah, that's gone. Right, carry on.
Yeah, and I have to actually show people,
Yeah.
look, I'm not just
Yeah.
scrolling through social media.
Yeah.
I'm working. I am listening.
Just ordering me tea.
Yeah. I think my wife just doesn't like to accept that men can multitask.
Going to events, then you mentioned the RAC there. Is that the highlight of your? I know it's not it's biannual, but is that the highlight of your rally calendar?
No.
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 Go on.
It's not. It is something I look forward to every couple of years, and it is probably the highlight of the rally calendar, as it were. But it is super hard work.
Yeah.
I don't see an awful lot of the action because we have 2 crews, and usually I'm getting prepared ready for the evening live shows that we do, the Top Gear Rally Report style show. So I don't see a lot of the action, and I actually enjoy. Ironically, I enjoy the bit after, when we're doing the editing, we're doing the big DVD that the crew has. So actually, the highlight comes after, when I'm reflecting what we did, because it's so fast paced that
you don't get time to live the moment.
I try and do that as much as possible. I've learned to slow things down and enjoy things in the moment. But yeah, it's so fast that afterwards I'm like, wow, what did we just do? And then I realised it should have been the highlight.
Yeah, one day you'll sit back and go, yeah, I should have really paid more attention to that.
Honestly, I'm genuine when I say that I've learned to slow things down. And the morning of a rally, I love nothing more than slowing that bit down, sitting in the car, soaking it up. Sometimes Cole knows, I'll sit in the car and I'll have all my race suit and everything on because I don't want to miss anything, but I'll just sit there and I'll just watch everything going on around me. And I soak up those moments because I realise that they're not going to last forever, and the bubble will burst. And it's the same with the special stage stuff. This last year, 2025, probably enjoyed that one the most because I'd realised that the previous years it had whistled past and we'd not really enjoyed it as much as we could have done because we'd been sort of flying from one thing to the next. But
who was the Formula One driver? Was it Max, who said a couple of years ago, enjoy these moments because they won't last forever?
I think a few people have said it. It's true.
Yeah, it is.
But sometimes you find out too late.
Life passes you by. You blink and you've missed it.
And I'm deliberately trying to not do that.
That's good.
But the RAC is amazing, as you know.
Yeah. Oh God,
real characters.
I get to the point now where I'd still love to be doing it, but physically I can't. Because my back's in such a state, it just won't stop.
See, that's my problem. I've suddenly realised, and I think Wayne knows this is happening as well, that I want to do these events now. Whereas for a good 15 years of that rally TV stint, I was quite happy telling the stories. Now I'm like, quite fancy doing this now.
Yeah, I have never ever found anything as adrenaline fueled as competing in stage rallying. It's RAC, what is it now? 4 or 5 day event, and that adrenaline starts in the week leading up to it.
Yeah,
and then you sat on the start line on stage 1, and the adrenaline is just through the roof. And it stays there for 5 days.
It does for us as well, to be honest.
Yeah.
From the moment we get down to, the start. And
I get that now, marshalling, spectating, doing time controls, whatever it is we choose to do out on the event. But every time I go out, the lads will tell it, Alec, who I go with, and some other lads, I get really, really upset because I want to be in there. I want to be doing it. And I'll go along and we have a laugh, and don't get me wrong, I enjoy it. I'd much prefer to be in there competing.
Do you know, I have an ambition to do the RAC, and I want to do it in something like so different that no one's ever, first time one of those cars has competed since being Imperial or something like that. It probably won't be a Clan Crusader. I can't see anybody being brave enough to sit with me in one of those on the RAC and there's some of those stages. But I don't know. Next Works Mark II Cortina, where did all they go? Something very different. Yeah. I would love to do that.
Something
not to go out and win it, not to go out and do anything great stakes, but
just to enjoy it.
To do an adventure. And I'd love nothing more than to create some kind of reality documentary show around it, featuring everybody that goes into that effort, from the person making the tea in service to the people out on the road doing management service to the TV and media crews.
I think a lot of spectators don't, if they're not into rallying and not grown up with it and seeing behind the scenes, they don't realise how much goes in. Yeah. That one event, it's months, incredible. Months and months away.
And there are so many sliding doors moments throughout the 4 or 5 days that it becomes kind of a rich tapestry of stories. And by the end of it, you feel like you've got enough to write a book just on 1 week.
100%. And I did the RAC Reborn, started in 04.
Yes.
And I did 04, 05. And then we had a bit of an accident in 06, so I couldn't compete in it. But I remember the first year in 04, the time cards didn't tally with the road book. They were different. And literally, this was I think it was a rival of stage 1 or stage 2. And literally pulled up, and Anne Watson, do you know Tom? Yes, Anne Watson? Yeah. Anne Watson was there. I said, Anne, just have a look at this for me, just make sure I'm not going mad. And she looked, she went, yeah, they're different, just go with a time card. She said, we're putting mistakes in because we're recreating the events of old. That's what they used to be like.
Maybe that's what was up with Colin McRae that day.
Maybe. And he was just confused at why the times are different.
Yeah, he was annoyed that they got the time cards
But it was
wrong.
great. They were just, yeah, just go with the flow and just enjoy it.
Yeah, I really want to do the RAC, and you've made me want to do it even more now.
It's such a good event.
It's just
I do miss that. I said to Dave, who I competed with for many years, as you know, if there was only one event, I would miss a whole year of rallying just to do that one event at the end of the year. It was that good an event.
I think the problem is people do.
Yeah.
And I think that's created, and obviously Colin Heppenstall and his team are actually behind the British Historic Rally Championship as well as that. So they've got to find a balance. And then there was this demand for something in the in-between years, so they've come up with the Anglo-Caledonian, which is growing. What's really interesting about the Roger Clarke, and I'm sure Colin won't mind me saying this, I had a chat to him at Carlisle Airport at the end this last year in 2025. The event has been a victim of its own success in that it has outgrown every possible way it could have done. And that means that they've got to put some real investment in. It's like a business. It's got to the point where if they don't invest in it, it's going to break. Right down to rubbish bins at the airport. You know, it was underestimated how many they would need for the scale of people down there. Every part of the operation has grown. So it's an interesting time for the Roger Clarke because it's got this super passionate, small, family-run company at the heart of it, with Colin and his family and the team around them. And they've suddenly now got to grow into an enterprise in order to follow the event, because otherwise the tail will be wagging a dog. And the international interest, the entry numbers, everything's growing at a time when rallying's facing a real threat to stage availability, venue availability, public road access, management service location. So it's going to be a really interesting couple of years to see what happens before the next one. And I've got every faith in Colin and his team, because they've got the creativity and the talent and the dedication and the determination to make it work. But I think in the next few years we're going to see that event evolve, and I've got a feeling it is going to be massive.
It already is.
It is, but I think it's going to blow even our minds.
Yeah.
For those of us who understand how big and how high profile it is, I think it's going to blow our minds.
I mean, am I right in saying back in the day, the Lombard RAC Rally, it was the biggest single attended sporting event in the UK?
In the UK. It's my favourite stat. The one weekend of 1 week of the Lombard RAC Rally had more spectators and viewing figures on TV than the whole of the English football season.
Yeah.
And now, one National League match has probably got more attendance than, the season of rallying.
Yeah. It's a shame it's flipped that way, isn't it?
I think that's the way of the world, and I think we've all got a little less in common than those days because there's so much to go at. I said it earlier, we don't all sit around the same TV set enjoying the same things anymore. We don't talk about the same things.
Back then we had 4 channels. Literally there wasn't a lot of choice and there was no social media.
But we had so much more in common, didn't we?
We sat and chatted
about
it, and people don't do that anymore.
Rallying has been left behind because it hasn't got the same appeal to younger audiences as the things that they can do a lot cheaper and a lot easier. So that's where the grassroots stuff comes back in, because right there in front of you is a chance here at the Motorist to do an event for £6.
It's bonkers, isn't it?
Drag a car around a course on a field all night for £6.
One of my students passed his test, really good driver. He's actually, I think he's still 17, maybe just 18. He's training to be a stuntman. And he does gymnastics, does different martial arts. Training to be, he's got certain stuntman accreditations, and he wants to be a professional stuntman. And he wanted to start learning driving, so I gave him some pointers and a bit of guidance. Best thing you can do, come down here, do the autotest. Absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the way to go. It's basic car control. And
well, it is, but also leads to opportunities.
Exactly. But how much fun is it for so little money?
Yeah, I wished I'd discovered it the first time around in a way, but at least doing it this time around means I can shine a light on.
Doing it properly this time, aren't you?
Yeah, and the next project, which hasn't formulated properly yet, will be trials. I want to explore the Austin 7. I want to go right back to the base, the roots of the sport. Colin Chapman did trials in an Austin 7 based special that he'd fabricated himself from an old car that he couldn't possibly sell when he was selling flogging second-hand cars in London. I want to go back and experience that bit of the sport.
You have to have a go with Alec and his old MG.
Well, yeah. But the MG was positively posh in those days. That was practically a Le Mans racer compared to he's got the TC, hasn't he?
Yes.
Compared to the Austin 7. So that's the next project to run alongside this. And and I'm speaking to someone at the minute, Lee Peck, who might just be able to help me, guide me along, because I don't know much about that side of the sport, and he's very much involved in that, and he's not far from it.
It's something I've never done, never explored it.
I haven't.
It's intriguing because it's car control, isn't it?
But the people who invented our sport started with trials in pre-war Austins, and then they went to Lagondas and Jaguars and Bentleys and won Le Mans and took over the world of motorsport, and then took over the world of Grand Prix racing with Cooper and BRM and all those kind of cars, when actually Ferrari and Maserati really should have owned the world. So, I want to kind of explore a little bit of that. I love motor racing as well, but it's not as much in my blood as rallying. But the trials side kind of covers both.
No, I get that.
It was a start point for a lot of where we see ourselves now.
Yeah, I get that. Looking for your new favourite T-shirt or hoodie? Head to the Drive Life store and discover a range of automotive-inspired clothing. Use the link in the show notes below and enter podcast 10 at checkout for 10% off. So competition-wise, the first rally you did, was that co-driving?
Yes, I co-drove in the junior championship in the micros. It wasn't the junior championship then. What sort of year are we talking there? It was in 2009. So I was just out of uni. But I'd competed on hill climbs as a driver before that in my dad's Mark II Cortina GT that we'd built, a historic rally car, when I was 16, 17. So it would have been 2002. 2003, I was first having a go at doing that kind of stuff. But my first rally as a driver was the Jack Neal Memorial Stages at Oulton Park in 2009, and I blew my engine up less than a mile into the first stage.
No.
And I learned a very important lesson that day, because there was a lot of people who'd helped me get there, and if I'd have had a tantrum and got upset with myself, it was to forget all that they'd done, my parents, my friends, the people who were mechanicking for me, my co-driver, my brother. So I learned to put a brave face on things, and I'd never really had to do that before. I'd been very lucky, not having really any bad luck in life, I didn't feel. And I felt crushed, and I had to deal with it and not look like I felt crushed.
We've all been there, and as they say, that's rallying.
But it was the second time that engine had blown on me. The first time was when I went and got the car. It was one of the only ex-works Borum Ford KA kit cars with the big wide arches. One that Simon Major won the Ford Championship and went to then drive in the Works Puma. And I went all the way to the Isle of Man, met a lovely guy called Reg Berry in Port St Mary, and we took the van over, and I decided, nope, I'm going to drive the car back. And I drove it all the way back from Haslam after we got off the ferry. Did an all-nighter, picked the rally car up, drove it back, got to the Hughes Bridge, and it just died on me. And I'm at the top of the Hughes Bridge, I'm pulled over, and my dad's we'd agreed, because they were in South Cave, I was in Brough at the time. We got to the Hughes Bridge, that was the point where we waved and parted company for the night. And so he'd sort of just sailed off over the Hughes. I could see him disappearing over the top. I'm thinking, I'm not going to make it over here, what's going on? And the engine had just put a hole in it, had run too lean, and the fuel regulator wasn't working properly, and it had... They had on
detonated,
and it just detonated, and it just put a hole in the piston, and it just died on the top of the Hughes Bridge, and my dad had gone, and my phone was out of battery, and I was like, what do I do now? And then the police turned up, and I'm right at the top and parked on, and I'm out of the car, and I'm sort of leaning on the railing like, oh my God, what, I'm regretting my life decisions. And they thought I was a potential jumper. And I remember making the joke to this concerned police officer that, well, do you know what, I really feel like it, because this is, and he didn't think that was a very funny joke. So the engine blew on me there. We then, we rebuilt this Ford 909 engine with all its fancy, parts in it. And then the oil drive on the camshaft was what had failed on this brand new but old stock 909 motorsport part. Just the oil drive just sheared off. And by the time I realised it was too late, and the engine had eaten itself again. So, 2 engines before I'd even got a mile into my first rally.
So please tell me you rebuilt it and had a successful event in it after that?
I did plenty of successful events after that, and we had a lot of fun. It was left-hand drive, and I remember going on crazy adventures, because I like driving my cars on the road. I think that's why I like rallying, because a racing car is like a caged animal. It's like having an exotic pet that you can't take anywhere.
You get it out once a month.
Yeah, it's just in a cage, and it doesn't really go anywhere, and you can't really have a lot of fun with it, because you can't take it with you, can you?
No.
Can't take your little pet monkey to the supermarket. It's got to stay in the
cage. Got to work
cage.
in your rally car.
See, exactly. So rally cars can be out in the wild, and you can enjoy them, and I do, and I drive them on the road. And I was driving this thing on the road. It's probably what killed the engine. I regretted those road miles. But I remember going through the Humber Bridge toll booth, because I used to work across the Humber Bridge, and I had to get out. It was left-hand drive. I had to put the hydraulic handbrake on and put the stopper on so it wouldn't roll away. I'd run round, and invariably the stopper would fall off, and then the thing would start rolling back. So I'd run back, push the car back to the toll booth, put it back. It was like a scene out of Mr. Bean. Go round, pay the toll booth, and the people at the toll booth got to know me in the end. They just, all right, it's him again.
You again.
Yeah, and there'd be people behind tutting and waving and doing this and beep and all this, and I'd be like, it's fine, it's left-hand drive. And they didn't understand the adventure, Jim.
You didn't try reverse through?
No, and unfortunately, I didn't have my Rally Club podcast to give them a sticker and say, look, you need to find out about this sport, because what I'm having here is a rally car adventure. Yeah. Here's a sticker.
These are the things of memories. This is what we talk about.
Yeah, it's the madness of what we do.
Yeah. Are those people driving across, just having a boring life, paying the toll, getting the ticket, are they talking about it now? No.
Exactly.
Yeah. So these are the things you remember.
Yeah, you remember them.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to jump to 2012.
Yep.
You had an interesting co-drive. Is that Oulton Park?
Yes, I did, yeah.
You've forgotten about that, haven't
Well, it's a big life moment for me, really, as well, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah. And it's...
Yeah, we were just getting into the Circuit Rally Championship, doing the TV coverage for that. It was the back end of our Motors TV stuff. And then Graham Coffey needed a co-driver in his ex-Petter Solberg S12B Subaru Impreza. And he said, well, why don't you do it? Put the cameras in. And he still do the presenting. And I'd done that in 2009 on the Cambrian with Tim Rogers. I'd interviewed Mikko Hervonen and some of the other works drivers that were down in Mads Osberg and Evan Brynildsen in the works cars, and then run down the line to jump into my little micro at the back of the queue to go into the forest. So we thought, yeah, we'll do that again. And I had a big plan. Do you know about the big plan? Is that what you've asked me?
No, I don't, actually.
So my mum had the biggest job on that day, because she had my prized Mark II Escort 2-litre Pinto gear in her rucksack. I'd sold it and bought an engagement ring. So she had an engagement ring in her bag, and I said, look, as long as nothing really bad happens and there's a really bad feeling around the place, I'm going to propose to Vicky at the end of the rally. Mm-hmm. So she's like, oh, God. So she's wandering around, and she had the engagement ring, a hairbrush, because obviously Vicky didn't know she had to have her hair done, and she'd be cursing not having her. And she had
Can I guess it was your mum that thought about that?
It was, yeah.
Yeah, because I just...
But my mum tells me the story. She said,
yeah.
I knew I had to have a hairbrush with me. And then she had a bottle of champagne as well in the bag. So Vicky couldn't go in anywhere near the bag. We already had our eldest, Mason, so he's with her, and he's, she's having to keep him really quiet. He didn't know it was happening either. And we won the rally. And it was the perfect opportunity to do it. So I proposed to Vicky in Garage 5 at Oulton Park. And I bet the team knew what was going to happen. I told Graham on the way to the last pair of stages. He was like, that's amazing. Yeah. Let's make it a really big celebration. Let's go and win the rally. So we did. And the car was really hot. Vicky had come in. I said, just sit in the car. I'm not sitting in the car. It's hot. It's sweaty, innit? Just sit in the car. All these things that you look back on that she just was not complying with the plan. And, my mum had gone, do you want to brush your hair? Before I don't want to brush my hair. It's windy. It's raining. It's middle of November, November the 11th or whatever it was, and she's like, no, I don't want to brush my hair. And I think you want to brush your hair. And all these things that Vicky looks back on and chuckles now. So she sat in the car, and then I proposed to her. And John Indry, it's a bit of a controversial day for him because he'd had a bit of an issue on the stage and got some points on his licence, and my best mate, who became a best man, was co-driving for him, but they stuck around. And John Indry came and did an impromptu engagement speech in the garage, which anyone who knows John Indry will smile at what that was like. I wished I had that on video, actually, because it was actually really funny. And then right at the end, excuse the language, right at the end, he was like, hang on, I'm doing a speech. Has anyone got any fucking champagne?
And your mum produced a bottle
and it'd all been drunk.
They drunk that.
So John Indry didn't get any champagne because it had all gone around the garage by that point. So that became quite a big day. And we had the wedding car as the Subaru. So Graham said to me, he rang me, he said, right.
I've seen the pictures of that.
Yeah, and he said, I love what you did. I love being a part of it. I can't come to the wedding, but I'm going to send you. You've got a choice. I've got a Ferrari 458 Scuderia. I've got a helicopter. We'll drop you in because we were getting married on the cliffs at Ravenscar.
Oh, wow.
Opposite Whitby, Raven Hall Hotel, one of my favourite places in the world. I'd done
we used to run Rally Yorkshire from there.
Yes, you did. Day. And I'd done a Win Your Wedding day with Yorkshire Coast Radio there. Okay. I thought, one day I'm going to get married here. Yeah. But unfortunately, I'm going to pay for mine. I realised that. And he said, the helicopter, have a Ferrari. I was like, can I have the Subaru? And he was like, it's doing the German Rally Championship and I'm going to have to get it all the way back. But he did it.
Nice.
And Neil Hyans, who runs ATM.
Yeah,
Prep
well, I
Motorsport.
used to
Of course you did.
co-drive for
Well,
him, so yeah.
Neil came back
Yeah.
with the car, trailered it to the event,
Yeah.
sat in his best suit in the wedding. Probably wanting to be anywhere else because he had to get the car prepped. And then they even
Like,
fired the
imagine
car
Neil,
up.
he won't look good in a suit. He'd prefer
He
to be in his
sculpted
own.
up quite nicely, but they fired the car up. And they were revving the car. Imagine a WRC S12B revving up in
Gonna be
the
like-
courtyard at Raven Hall. It was a real highlight, really,
Yeah,
having
yeah.
the car there.
That's
So my
right.
wife knew what she was letting herself in for, didn't she?
From day one. So I love that because I knew it was a great win, but I hadn't realised, all the engagement story. And
Yeah, it means a lot
wow.
to us that day.
Yeah.
And I
Oh,
said
that's
to her,
awesome.
look, I'm not going to be one of these couples that, because I'm so busy, we'll be one of these couples that's engaged for 20 years. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I said to her, let's do it next year. And she's just like, everything had just changed in her life in that one moment. She's looking at me like, Christ, next year.
So here's a story about engagement rings and forests. So my wife used to co-drive
Yep.
in a little Skoda Fabia, and she used to take a engagement ring off, and she had a solitaire ring, and she used to put them in a bag on the door, zip pocket, sealed them up so she wouldn't lose them, during the event. Gets to the end of the event, and it was in Nottingham. I think it was a Premier Rally or something like that. Undoes the bag, puts her hand in, and her hand came straight out the bottom.
Oh, no.
So somebody somewhere got two solitaire rings, a diamond and a sapphire.
I was hoping that had a good ending.
So, well, it does actually, because 3 days later we went to Singapore, and she phoned the insurance company the day she lost them, and basically they put the money in the bank account within a couple of days, and we bought her some new rings while we were in Singapore, and got a lot better value for money in Singapore. So she actually got better rings out of the deal.
Brilliant.
So she was...
They're probably still there in Sherwood Forest, or
Maybe, or
Clipston or somewhere.
Yeah, so somebody's they'll either be, somebody will find them with a metal detector one day, or somebody already has. So yeah, well done.
Can you imagine how many times over the years I've reminded my wife that she's wearing my Mark II Escort?
Yeah, but daily, I bet.
I'm not allowed to say it anymore.
Are you not?
No.
No, we'll just say it once and it's recorded for
She knows.
posterity. Yeah. You've got that really guilty look in your eye now as you're saying it.
Yeah, I'm not allowed to say it.
So when are you going to get a Mark II Escort?
Can't afford one now. I got married.
Kids?
Do you know what? I love Mark IIs, but it wouldn't be a Mark II Escort. It'd be Mark II Cortina.
Okay. Go back a step, yeah.
Yeah, that was the first car that I built with my dad, and I've got a real thing about them and the story that the Cortina, it would have been a stopgap because no one really knew what to do. So all of the Mark II Lotus Cortina works cars ended up being press cars. That's why they're all funny colours. The 66 Gulf Swedish winning car was Saluki Bronze, which was our replica that we built because that was the press car at the time. Because they didn't really want to go into a works program in the Mark II. Roger Clarke hated them because they called them the banana car because they bent in the middle, they weren't that strong. I love cars with a story, hence why I had a Clan Crusader.
Yeah, I get that.
So yeah, it wouldn't be a Mark II Escort, it'd be a Mark II Cortina.
Yeah.
But if the answer is when, my wife's going to buy me one. She owes me one.
For like an eternity present.
Yes.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the theme for 13 years was lace, so I couldn't shoehorn that request in.
Doesn't really, not conducive to a rally car, is it, lace? Yeah.
But a Mark II Cortina, I don't even want a Lotus. I'll be happy with a 1500 GT with its Cosworth bottom end, with the Series 1 dials on the dash, just like ours had. But it has to be either bright red or Saluki Bronze.
You've got the vision of this already, haven't you?
Yeah. Bright red
it's
or Saluki Bronze and wide Lotus steels.
I like it. So going back to presenting, I told you we'd jump all over with this. You started, I mean, you've had a lot of your own sort of YouTube channels and that side of things, haven't you? But you did a YouTube channel where you interviewed some pretty impressive people. I mean, to interview Otmar Szafnauer and Sergio Pérez, I mean, was that a bit of a, wow, how did this happen?
That was actually a bit of a sliding doors moment. Ironically, the guy who I would end up working for when I worked at Hull City Football Club, who owned the football club, was involved in that because it was to do with the sponsorship with Sport Pezza, who were a sponsor of Hull City Football Club at the time, and they were sponsoring the Racing Point Formula 1 team. Off now wanted a video tour before the British Grand Prix, and the guys who'd arranged the sponsorship for Sport Pezza, who had a sponsorship, still have a sponsorship management company. It's run by Guy Smith, who was the 2003 Le Mans winner for Bentley, who's a friend of mine. And he said, do you fancy presenting a Formula One video before the British Grand Prix at the Racing Point factory? And Sergio Pérez, Szafnauer will be in the video, and you get to tour us around the factory and see the cars. And it was a dream gig. You know,
I'm not surprised.
It was amazing.
Yeah,
And I still keep in touch with some of the people I met that day, because it was just such an exciting day. I met some really good people, but it was so fascinating to see behind the scenes. I'd already by that point been lucky enough to go behind the scenes at Red Bull, because I was working for Infinity doing some stuff when they were Infinity Red Bull, and gone out to Portugal to launch the Vettel car and things like that. So myself and Blair Jacobs, who was a BBC Radio Homicide presenter at the time, got invited to the Red Bull factory. They said, we'll send a car and pick you up, and you can get to meet Adrian Newey in his drawing office and do some pit stop practice with the cars. No, it's just awesome. And I said to them, that's great. Can I take my mum and dad? So there's Blair Jacobs, me, and my mum and dad in the back of this car. Yeah, we drank more Red Bull than I've ever drank in my life. And by the end of the day, I was not in a good place in that sense. And we just saw so much stuff. So that was really cool.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
I hadn't realised.
Yeah, so I was enjoying having those kinds of adventures. And then the Racing Point thing came up. And at each point, this is where I've learned to kind of measure your life in adventures and not try and either stretch too far or get stars in your eyes or anything like that. Because every time you do something like that, it feels like this could be it. This could be the big break. This could be the bit they all talk about. And it never is. Yeah. But it's an amazing adventure. And I think in order for that to be the big break, you've got to really want that. And what I really wanted was rallying. So I was never going to schmooze the F1 paddock.
No, I get that.
So we had some fun. And I'm really proud of that video.
So how did you find Otmar? Because he is hilarious, isn't he?
I didn't have a lot of time with him because he was quite hassled on the day, because Lawrence Stroll was there, and they were about to they were about to launch a new factory and put the investment in and stuff. So they had some big board meetings that day. But what I remember of him was he was very gracious, and I was a nobody to him. Anyway, who the hell I was, and gave me some really good time. Taught me around, showed me some really cool stuff. Left me in the workshop bay with the car, with the race cars, because they hadn't gone across to the circuit at that point. Yeah. And I thought, wow, to be left alone, the security that they must have around these cars on race day. And there I am, just sat with them. And Wayne and I were just sort of sat there, and he was like, should we film some stuff? So we did some pieces of camera in the workshop bay while we were waiting for someone to come and collect us.
That's brilliant.
And it was just a really cool experience. Surreal. Yeah, it was surreal.
So I don't know if have you listened to their podcast?
No.
So High Performance Racing, there's Otmar, there's Jake Humphrey and Rob Smedley.
I love all three of those guys.
They are hilarious together. So they've been doing it this year, and I think they do one a week.
Right.
And honestly, you will be in hysterics listening to it.
I'm really bad at listening to and consuming media.
Okay.
Really bad at it.
So what do you do when you're in the car driving down the motorway?
I listen to podcasts of motor racing history. Okay. British motor racing history.
So this is motor racing history, because we were talking about the race last week.
And I listened to my latest edits, so I listened to myself to make sure they're okay. You knew that was coming. You knew that was coming. No, I do need to listen to more. I find that by not listening to loads of stuff, my stuff tends to be a bit more original, because you naturally sway towards things.
Yeah, I get that.
So I've always deliberately not watched too much stuff. And ironically, for someone who makes so much content, I'm really funny about my kids watching too much stuff and being on social media too much. And, none of my kids would be on social media if I could help it.
You listen to your dad?
They've got no choice.
It's just on 24/7.
But yeah, no,
like torture.
Yeah, so I'm actually not a massive consumer of it, but I love all three of those guys. So that's probably something I do need to listen to.
I think you'd really enjoy it. Give it a whirl. They are funny as together. They're just rip each other. It's good. Really?
I listen to really boring business books as well,
Yeah.
because I run a business as well. So unfortunately, I listen to really boring stuff about how to maximise investment in business and how to turn a bad year into a positive year the year after and all that.
And is it working?
I think they do.
Good.
I do think they do. They're just awful. I mean, the Diary of a CEO, I've tried listening to. I've tried starting that 3 times. It's awful.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy is so excited about his own achievements. And I can't get beyond the first chapter.
I'm I know exactly where you're coming from with that.
But I'm listening to an audiobook at the moment called, I think it's How to Eat an Elephant. Is it How to Eat an Elephant? Yeah, I think it's How to Eat an Elephant, which is about how to break everything down into smaller pieces and manageable chunks, and still have your roadmap and your end goal in mind. This has got really boring all of a sudden, doesn't it? Jim's like, oh my God, that wasn't even on the bottom of my agenda. But I find that those sort of things do actually help me with the media side of things as well, and the driving. Because I always remember hearing an interview with Alan Prost where he said, in order to be a successful racing driver, you have to be a good businessman in the car. And it's true.
Yeah.
Have to run, the same principles apply. Being able to manage people well, being able to get people, lead people, and get people to do what you need them to do to be successful. And
funnily enough, I'm going to throw it back to high performance racing, because they were talking about this, how Lewis will go into a team and he will get people where he wants them. Same as Michael Schumacher. And that is where the successful racers,
two of my heroes,
become successful racers, because they've got everything in place. And
they are successful businessmen outside of racing.
Exactly.
Same with Jake Humphrey.
Yep.
What a success he's been with. Is it Whisper TV that does the Channel 4 F1?
Ah, right, because he does there's a energy drink or something he does as well, isn't there? And,
yeah, but after he left ITV F1, he started, I think it's Whisper Films with David Coulthard.
I didn't know that. Yeah.
Such an inspirational guy. I have listened to some of his podcasts, not the racing one, ironically, but he's got some motivational ones or business ones.
Right. I'll have a look at those. But yeah, definitely. Definitely have a look at that podcast. It's I think you'll find it very,
it's the original Men in Their Flying Machines I'm really into at the minute, listening to. I think that's where the Austin 7 things come from.
Is it?
Listening to the old W.O. Bentley and Colin Chapman stories, and the people that really started what we all love and our forefathers.
Here's a question for you then. It's just popped in my head. If you could go back in time, where would you go back to?
I think it would have to be the early 60s. Mm-hmm. I just love what that era was for our sport, and it's purely because of the sport. I love that rallying and motor racing was really big in our country, and that there was a huge crowds of people.
Oh, massive. Yeah.
And I love that it influenced so much of our culture as well. You look at the Mini, and that's a little bit before then, but that really found its feet in the early 60s. And you had people like, the Mini won the Monte Carlo.
Paddy Hopkirk.
And then it came Paul Easter, and then it came back, and Ringo Starr got picked up from the airport in it, because at the time he was late to get to Abbey Road, so they picked him up in the Monte Carlo winning minute, had just driven back. And I love stories like that. So Stuart Turner, who was the boss of BMC at the time, BMC Motorsport, he saw a PR opportunity and picked Ringo up and he was obsessed with this spinny light on the roof, and he was spinning the light around.
Was he?
And stuff like that. The miniskirt was such a big part of British culture and fashion, and it came from a model who hopped out of the Mini and coined it because she jumped out of a Mini. And I only found that out listening to this story I've been listening to recently, actually. Peter Grimsdale is the author that I'm listening to a lot at the minute, and so allegedly that's where the miniskirt came from. Short skirts were already a thing, but to be called the miniskirt was because she had to climb out and she had to be careful because there were photographers there, and if she wasn't careful, she was going to lose her modesty getting out of this little British.
Every day's a school day, as I say. I like that.
So early 60s, because then I would have been able to go through the Cortina era, the Escort era. And I would have loved that, and I would have seen some of the biggest advances in rally car technology, and then I would have been able to experience Group B.
That's my big regret with rallying.
But I'd know it was coming.
Yeah, I suppose.
So I'd look forward to it.
Yeah.
It'd be like knowing you're about to go on holiday.
Yeah.
Group B's coming. I've only got 10 years.
10 years to wait.
10 years and then Group B's here. So I'd quite like to go back knowing that was on the horizon.
Speaking of which then, what's your favourite Group B car?
It's got to be the 037. The 037 is probably my favourite car in the world.
I knew that before I'd asked you.
I've driven a 6R4,
which
is still probably, it is the most exciting thing I've ever done with my clothes on.
I think I described that as Dave, you obviously know.
Yes.
He very kindly let me drive his when I got it.
Yeah.
And it scared me to death. And we weren't going quick.
It's like strapping a V6 engine to your back and push some button and then find out what happens
next. And it just goes.
Well, I cut my honeymoon off early to come back and drive one. So at the end of all that debacle where we had the rally car at the wedding and my wife had to put up with that, and then searching for flights home on the Sunlander in Tenerife, coming back early to drive a Metro 6R4 at Oulton Park.
Have you got something in common? Ian Emerson, you know, the mechanic?
Yes.
Petter Solberg's fabrication mechanic, does Travis Pastrana's Subaru. Took his wife away from the church in a 6R4.
Fantastic.
So, you've got something in common with it.
So, an 037. If I ever get to drive an 037, it will be a dream come true.
I've never actually been in one. As you know, I've got a real penchant for Lancia, having worked with UR in the early 90s. And there's just something iconic about them.
It's also how rare the engineering was. You know, it was built for the job. It was no compromise. They looked incredible. They've got presence. The oily bits are hanging out of the rear end like a Porsche 917. You know, they're like a Le Mans car. And I love a car with a story. And the fact that Lancia designed that championship win, the last time a two-wheel drive car would ever win the World Rally Championship, they designed it because people sat around and realised the only way they could beat them was by bringing out a racing car for the road.
Lightweight, super lightweight racing car.
But guys, we've got to do the maths here
because against four-wheel drive.
We're not going to win on gravel, so we've got to do the maths. Can we do it? And it's a shame that Race for Glory wasn't a better made film because it's such a good story.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely done for TV rather than the historians.
It's worth a watch, but it's disappointing, and the production value is rubbish because the cars are racing and
it's just it's not.
But it's a film about rally cars, and
if it gets more people interested in the sport, what's not to like? I get that. But, So, what Group B cars have you been in then?
I have been in now which one is it? It's the big one with the big wings. Is that the S1 Quattro with Stig Blomqvist?
Yes, the short wheelbase.
Yeah, the S1. Yeah, I went out with Stig Blomqvist in that at Castlecombe, and it was incredible, really incredible. And he was chucking it in.
I mean, to have a go in one, let alone, I mean, that's
and then iconic, I jumped in to Dio Ellen's car after
Stig.
that. So it's just amazing.
That's incredible.
That's the only Group B car I think I've been in.
Okay.
Apart from that,
RS200? No.
I think I've been in one. I've spent a bit of time around one. But no, I've never been in one.
Yeah.
But no, that was an incredible moment. I didn't really appreciate it enough at the time, I don't think.
I mean, I didn't know you'd done that. I mean, that is special.
And
to have a go with Stig as well.
Yeah, it's pretty good. But the annoying thing was, because we were filming for the special stage, and I went in a lot of cars that day, including Johnny Milner with his Corolla WRC car.
I've got to interrupt. Is that where the photograph on your website comes from with Johnny? You're stood next to Johnny, and Johnny's looking at you like pulling a face.
Probably.
It's absolutely hilarious.
Probably. It could be the RAC. Yeah, it probably will be there actually. But we were filming lots of cars, rigging cameras up.
Okay.
And the Stig thing came about after we decided how we were going to run the production for the day. So there were no cameras. So I've got no cameras. I've got some photos of me in the car on the track as it were, on this demo stage, but no cameras, which is a bit gutting. But that was pretty cool.
It's in there.
And I went for dinner with I sat with Stig and Louise Aitken Walker for dinner one night. A few years later,
obviously,
and we talked about that moment and So I'm really lucky, aren't I, when you sort of talk about these moments.
You do. I mean, I'm obviously a bit older than you, and I've been lucky. The things I've done in rallying and got to meet a lot of people, and some of the nights I've had. I mean, I had an evening with Pentti Ricola, and he was one of the funniest guys you'd ever meet. He was hilarious. I mean, just some of the stories, and he just, rallying was almost secondary to him, but he was such a natural at it, he didn't have to try.
He'd learned the British sense of humour, hadn't he?
Oh, God, yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. And he's the real dry, wicked sense of humour, which is me.
I met his granddaughter, Flame Ricola, recently.
Okay.
She was driving an MG3 on the Greystoke stages, but I can't remember now. No, it wouldn't have been. Anyway, Border Counties maybe? But she didn't crash. The car broke. The suspension broke on a car right in front of me on the stage. So I thought, great, got an interview. And she had a broad English accent. And I was expecting Finnish, and she went, "You wouldn't have even got a Finnish accent with my granddad."
No. It was, do you remember Neil Perkins?
No.
He used to own Rally Sport magazine.
Okay, I know of him then.
Okay, I think he's still a journo.
Right.
But I think he does powerboat racing. Right? He used to go out to the Middle East Rally Championship and
Okay.
yeah,
I'll
did
have
the
seen
media
his
on
work.
that. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, he was interviewing him for Rally Sport magazine. I thought, I'll have to try and find a copy of it. And yeah, it was just every answer with Penty was a joke. Yeah, it was.
They were real characters, weren't they?
Again, I feel like I'm, taking over a bit here, but
It's your podcast.
I got I got very, very drunk with Roger Clarke in what's the name of the hotel next to the railway station in Hull?
Station Hotel.
Station Hotel.
That wasn't hard, was it?
Thank you,
Sorry.
Paul. Thank you. Well, it was a railway hotel. Anyway, it was the Charrington Historic Rally,
Fab.
and we just ended up. There was 6 of us left in the bar at daft o'clock in the morning, and as you know, Roger Clarke loved a drink.
Yeah.
And just what a night! It was a riot.
What a guy
Absolutely
he was.
hilarious.
I have
Yeah.
one of my favourite Roger Clarke memories is in Hull. It's
Yeah.
on the North Humberside stages where he was doing course car, and then Matthew and Ollie were both in a Sierra and Escort Cosworth, but Roger had the ex-Safari Mark 1, one of the London to Mexico cars, in his yellow Roger Clarke Motorsport colours, and they were parked outside what was Arco Unisport in Hull, and I saw them drive off down Ferrens Way. I was only a kid. That was probably the same night you got drunk.
Probably. Yeah, probably.
Jim was probably there tottering about. Yeah, he's
Long
one of my
time ago,
heroes,
that now.
actually.
Yeah.
He's one of my dad's heroes, and I think you sort of take on, if you're as passionate about the same things as your parents, you take on their
Yeah, you
heroes.
do.
And I definitely took Roger Clarke over for my dad. We often talk about Roger.
I think drivers in all forms of motorsport was bigger characters back then. Yeah, you had the ones that just flew under the radar, but there were more of the Daniel Ricciardos back then.
Yeah, and even more so back then when things like, having a few beers before a rally wasn't
Frowned upon.
Yeah, and while I would not go back there for those reasons, I think those stories give us a certain something, don't they, of an era that we've long lost now. And even talking to Mike Broad for a special feature we did for Special Stage, who was Russell Brooks' long-time co-driver, but was co-driving for Jerry Marshall on I think it was 73 Tour of Britain. Roger and Jerry were co-drivers. Teammates in the escorts, and they couldn't find Jerry anywhere. I know Jerry was in the Jumping Chicken, I think it was called, sponsored Vauxhall Magnum.
Brilliant.
But then you had these two absolute legends, but they couldn't find them before the start of the stage at Snetterton, and they were in the bar. And then Jerry insisted before they did the Epping bit, he was that nervous, he insisted on somebody passing him a beer on the start line at Epping. And Mike had some secret co-driver pace notes, and I'm not saying anything that isn't already out there because he told us in our video on Special Stage, but he shouldn't have had pace notes, but he'd gone and got these little pace notes, tiny little bit fit in the palm of his hand so no one could see it. And just as we're about to set off, one of the service crew ran down if you've been to Epping, it's a hell of a way to run, knocked on the window and just popped the boot, Jerry. And a crate of beer for when they got to the end of the stage. Just jingling beer in the boot of this Vauxhall Magnum.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
This is after the event, but I was lucky enough, as I say, to work for Lancia when Kankkunen won the RAC in Harrogate in '91.
Wow.
Navigating a management car with Alan Harriman. Yeah. And after the event, Nini Russo went into a restaurant in Harrogate, just took over the whole restaurant.
Wow.
And we all sat around. I mean, massive team. Bearing in mind they were running Didier Oriol and Mickey Biassion as well. So a massive team. And everybody got a drink. And then Kankkunen, during the course of the evening, got up, walked around, shook everybody's hand, thanked them profusely, and necked the drink.
Do you know, he's the most miserable sod I've ever met in rally.
Is he really?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I remember we caught him on a bad day. Maybe it was your Colin McRae moment.
Maybe it's a Colin McRae moment, yeah.
But yeah, he was really miserable.
Yeah.
What was your role with the Lancia team then?
Navigator, co-drove a management car.
Did you? Love that. Navigator, dramatic pause
Yeah.
in the management car.
Yeah.
That makes you a works navigator.
One of the highlights, I can't remember his name, UR's brother, but he was driving one of the weather cars. Nice. For those of you who don't know, so it's basically a full house Group A Lancia Integrale. And they go out a few hours before the car. It's like the gravel crew, and they go check all the pace notes and check the stages for water, ice, all that sort of thing. After the event, they hired a massive warehouse down Clare Road in Harrogate to amass everything and organise and everything. And I was chatting with him, and he went, jump in. And he took me down all the back roads out in Harrogate in a full house Group A Lancia Integrale. Yeah, that was...
So you are a works navigator?
Yeah, obviously. Yeah, no doubt.
Speaking?
Yeah, it's on my CV.
Yeah, you got to say the experiences while you can, huh?
Exactly. Yeah, like you say, it's...
Wow, they were the days.
100%, yeah. Like you say, I love it now, but they're the stories that I love, remember, and...
Yeah, I'm in this weird kind of world where I miss an era that I wasn't even alive for. I miss it. I wish I could.
I'm the same with Group B. I really want to relive Group B. We know the stories, we've seen, the documentaries, all that side of thing. It was just such an exciting time.
In the world was changing, wasn't it?
Oh, massively.
As much as this sounds ironic, given how much I do on social media and how much that has been good for me career-wise and everything else, I long to go back to a world where we didn't have it. And everything was real.
You had to do things, not pretend.
Yeah, the adventures were real. The stories were real. You didn't have to second guess whether something was AI. And everything that was happening was for the first time. So there was genuine excitement. It's like when you get kids and when they're little and they see everything for the first time, going on a train for the first time, going on a plane. Wow. I just loved that age of kids, and I loved being part of that. And when they started, when they get to that age and they've seen it all before, it really disappoints me.
It's like the whole learning thing, like I say, the miniskirt thing.
Yeah.
I don't know, I'm really excited.
We're not going to go there, are we?
Moving on swiftly. A quick thank you to the Motorist for hosting us as always. To find their calendar of car meets, events and quizzes, head to the link in the show notes below. I'm going to jump back to Cadwell Park.
Who better go there from miniskirts?
How did we get the gig at Cadwell?
The same perseverance, determination and boldness that I learned when I got my first radio gig. I wanted to do it. I decided I needed a proper job. The radio, I could see the way commercial radio was going. Proper local commercial radio was dying out. The investment wasn't there. The big groups were merging with the bigger groups, and therefore local radio stations were not going to be where my future career was. As much as I felt like I'd got to somewhere I wanted to get to, it wasn't going to be the future, and that was something that I learned, and I made a decision to get a proper job. So I was a marketing manager for a company in Hull, still doing the rally TV stuff, still pretending to be a rally driver whenever I could, and then I saw it advertised, and the year before I'd gone for the Top Gear thing when Chris Evans announced he was doing the open auditions. So my boss at the time, who's still my mentor in business now, Alistair Needler, he's a non-exec director for the business I'm running now, but he said to me, "You've got to do this. You've got to do the Top Gear." I was like, "Well, that means I'd leave you," and he was like, "Yeah, that's fine." Maybe he wanted rid of me, but he was like, "You need to do it." And I did the audition. He actually sent me home on the morning that Chris Evans announced that on the radio too. He said, "Go home, do your audition." And I did. And then I got onto Radio 1 with Scott Mills, and he was talking about my audition, and then they were talking about it. And again, it was one of those moments that I mentioned earlier where you think, here we go. And it wasn't. Yeah, it died off. Rory Reid got it instead of me. And
have you spoken to him since?
I've spoken to him. Yeah. And he's a really nice guy, and he deserved that shot. So it was all good. Yeah. But then the year after, the Cadwell Park job came up, and I was getting tagged in it on social media. I think it was on Facebook. And it said they were after a new circuit manager, but they wanted something a little different. They weren't quite sure what they were looking for. And I read the job description, and it was nothing I'd ever done before. I didn't have the experience for the job. But I knew Cadwell Park like the back of my hand. I knew what they needed to inspire new audiences, knew they wanted to grow audiences, grow events. I had a lot of ideas. So I thought, how do I make myself stand out? So I happened to be doing the TV coverage for the Gold Cup at Oulton Park a week before the applications closed. I knew Jonathan Palmer was going to be there. So I made a beeline for Jonathan Palmer, interviewed him, didn't mention the Cadwell Park job, but interviewed him, made sure I made a bit of an impression, and asked him, because everyone else was asking him the same standard questions about his career. So I said, I want to show you something. So I walked to the pit lane. I know Jonathan very well now, and I can imagine how much he did not want to follow me. He's like, what on earth am I doing? But he followed me to the pit lane. I said, what's that? A Lotus Cortina. And he's looking at me. I said, how about you and Jolyon in a pair of Lotus Cortinas at Goodwood or at the Gold Cup here at Oulton Park? And he was like, that's a very good idea. And he remembered me asking that question.
Really?
And the way I'd asked. So I made sure I made an impression. I then put my application in, and I built a website. Never built a website before in my life, but I built a website about why I was completely unsuitable for the job. But
I love it.
I had some great ideas, and I loved the place, and I knew there was a team there that had been in place for some of them for 30 years,
Who
including the
knew the
assistant
things
manager.
you didn't?
Yeah, and that they would have the experience to teach me the operational side, and I would learn that because I wanted to, because I'd be within a subject matter I loved, and I learn faster when I'm in a subject matter I love. I've done that before, and I would bring some new ideas, enthusiasm. I would grow their audience, made some really bold claims about what I would do, which, long story short, a lot of them came true, and I was able to, have a very grown-up conversation with Jonathan when I ended up leaving Cadwell Park to say, look, we did the things we said we'd do, and we've had an adventure doing it.
Brilliant.
Yeah, and he just gave me a shot, but it was very much a, don't fuck this up.
And you didn't?
Oh, but I was terrified. It was like jumping off a big cliff with a parachute I knew
wasn't going to
was
work.
a little bit too small. And I had to find another one on the way down.
But you've got to do something every day that scares you.
You do, and I'm really proud of myself for pushing myself out there, because I got ahead of some of the people who were more suited to the role, who would have been amazing at fixing drain pipes and sorting out septic tanks and fixing the electricity prices for 5 years when the world was going to...
But is that what they were looking for?
No, they
Probably
wanted some
not,
inspiration
no,
and a few ideas, and then they realised, long story short, 5 years later, that brought with it all manner of issues, and having me run your race circuit was a bit like herding very exciting cats. I decided that they wanted to clip my wings a bit too much, and I needed a different adventure, and I went to go and play in operations in professional football instead.
You must have met a plethora of people.
Yes, and that was one of the best things about
at
it.
Cadwell. I mean, I know Guy Martin is a regular there.
I would have counted Guy Martin as a friend
corner.
while I was at Cadwell.
Yeah.
Certainly someone I saw very regularly and could ring up and ask for favours, and he would do the same. So
Yeah.
I felt very privileged with that. But one of the biggest privileges was actually the Top Gear and Grand Tour filming.
Yeah.
Some of it because I actually created some opportunity for that, because I would be quite enterprising. And I would come up with opportunities for the circuit. During lockdown, we were forced to furlough all of our staff. So what I did was I rang Jonathan Palmer and said, what I want to do is get a lot of cars testing at Cadwell Park. And he said, absolutely not. And I did it anyway. So I spoke to a mate who worked at Millbrook, who told me which cars were sat in the compounds at Millbrook waiting to be tested. And because it's type testing, we could still work. So I was able to unfurlough some really good staff that I wanted to keep. We got Bentley, Porsche, Jaguar Land Rover, Project 8 was tested there off the back of all this.
Wow.
We turned the Scroot Bay into a bit of a testing hub, and they would test at Cadwell Park, and they'd stay in. I gave them local hotels who I'd spoken to say, could you do socially distanced bubbles, as it was called at the time. So that was quite an exciting period of time. And then Jonathan nicked the idea for all the other circuits, and we lost all the business that we'd managed to get, and it went to Bedford and Brands. But that was why we did it. And I am paraphrasing, and if Jonathan was sat here now, he would be going, that wasn't quite. But in essence, that's how it went. And, it was very exciting. But then, getting the Grand Tour and Top Gear there and making a really big deal of that and getting all over local papers.
Really memorable TV. Yeah. I would Tiff and... Sabine, driving that Morgan round, just
ours was a bit after that. It was Paddy and Sabine that were in the Ferrari.
Okay,
but there was a moment where, and I posted it recently actually, but I was sat having a bit of dinner in the clubhouse with Damon Hill, Sabine Schmidt, Paddy McGuinness, Freddie Flintoff, Chris Harris, and the producers, some of whom were equally as heady in that world as the presenters themselves. A guy called Kit, I can't remember his surname, but what a fabulous character he was. And I remember after we'd had dinner, it was all a little bit staged, but the cars were arriving at different times. And I was stood down in the maintenance yard, and Ferrari always insist on having a bunch of Ferrari engineers, so they're fettling the car down in the maintenance yard with the Ferrari overalls on, which was just a bit bizarre. There's only Ferrari California, for God's sake, And then Paddy and Sabine are just stood, just sort of sheltering from the sunshine a little bit, and just having a little chat, and they're just sort of silhouetted against the sky as they stood at the front of this. And I took a picture, and no one knew that would be one of the last times we'd ever see Sabine sort of on TV, as it were. But It was a special moment.
Yeah,
and I got a lot of special moments. You know, not just cars, the bike world, which I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not as excited about the bike world, but people in the bike world I am.
Yeah.
Bikes don't really excite me, but the people in motorcycle
So,
racing.
regulars there, you must have had Hickey there an awful lot, 'cause he's only around the corner.
BSB crowd,
Yeah.
you know, Peter Hickman was a local, and again, someone who would regularly call for favours. I asked him for his first ever race-winning helmet, which we put on display when he gave us it at Cadwell Park and things like that. Spent a lot of time with these people, but the old guard as well.
Ron Haslam.
Yeah, I love Ron Haslam. Got a call from Jonathan Palmer at BSB one day, and it's one of the most stressful weekends to be a Cadwell Park circuit manager. Is BSB weekend, turn a venue that's really only suitable for catering for 10,000 people into a venue that will cater for 50, 60,000 people potentially. And I got a call from Jonathan Palmer on the Friday evening. Just on the first practice, and it was closing down the circuit, and he went, crowd everywhere, moved the campsites in, there's people everywhere. I need you to sort out Ron landing. Apologies for the accent, Jonathan. I have to do it. I need you to sort out Ron Haslam landing his aeroplane on Park Straight. I was like, Jonathan, I can't. Oh, no, he's done it before. Yeah, probably in the 80s. I can't. It's in the middle of a massive event. I've got the safety advisor, I've got firemen here, I've got the police. I'm showing the police around the circuit. I can't. And he's like, no, you have to. He's on his way. Anyway, I'll see you tomorrow. Ron's on his way in. I'll get Anne to ring you. Next minute, my phone rings. Hiya, it's Anne Haslam. I'm with Ron.
We're on finals.
We're on our way. Final descent. Jonathan said it's fine to park at Cadwell. So parking's not the issue, Anne. Landing the plane's going to be the issue. I've got some really big rock oil signs at the side of the search. Oh, we can see them. If you just pull them out a bit, they won't. I'm like, oh my God. So I grabbed every emergency vehicle I could. We've gone some places for this podcast, haven't we? Grabbed every emergency vehicle I could. I had the safety advisory group having a walk around. I had to make polite. I rang my catering manager, said, can you just give them something nice to eat in the clubhouse and close all the windows? And I went to Park Straight with every single car with a flashing light I could find, and we parked flashing lights at each end of Park Straight.
So which way did they come in, from Charlie's?
Yeah, he landed the plane. There's a video on my YouTube actually.
Is there?
Yeah, because I thought I'm going to have to film this for posterity, and I'm walking in selfie mode as this plane's landing. It's only a small plane, but Ron Haslam pops the cockpit lid off, and he's like, hiya. I'm like, I can't believe this is happening. Lovely sunset behind us, and there's Ron and Anne Haslam.
So I can imagine that's one massive scenario. Where did you park it for the race?
In the middle of the circuit for the whole weekend. So that weekend, there was a plane parked in the middle of the
off to the right, Park Straight.
Right in Park, in the middle. Just where the marshal post is, right in the middle.
Brilliant.
And it was just parked there. And there were so many pictures of this plane on people's, when they'd done the walk around after the racing and stuff, of this plane on people's social media, and no one knew whose plane it was. And I got the biggest bollocking from the safety advisory group you have ever heard at the wrap-up event. I had to go to a meeting at the fire station in Louth. All the emergency services, the police, fire, local council, representatives of every single type of emergency service and public service. And I was told, under no circumstances do you ever pull a stunt like that again. And I knew deep down
that you weren't going to do it in the first place.
I had no choice. Yeah. Because if Jonathan Palmer rang me the year after and said, yep, Ron Haslam's coming in, this time he's got a jumbo jet, it would be landing. I had no choice. Absolutely no choice whatsoever. I had to take one for the team.
More than my job's worth.
Yeah. But it was good for my YouTube numbers.
Oh, brilliant.
No one else has landed Ron Haslam in a plane.
And I've never heard
Rocket Ron in a plane on Park Straight.
Now, if you'd have said that was Steve Parrish done that, I would have completely believed you.
He was good. Steve used to ring, and he'd park in the field opposite on the actual... There's an actual licensed landing strip on Matthew Grant's farm, GB Grant, next door, which we use and have been using for years, and they can land there.
Ron land there?
Because he's Ron Haslam. And he's an utter legend, and it's Jonathan Palmer, and it's his toy shop. And Jonathan doesn't have to sit with the safety advisory group staring at him after the event.
I love it.
It was mad. Another one was Carl Fogarty, who... And I've actually got a video which... I don't know if I'm still under any kind of legal embargo, but his solicitor spoke to me at the time, made it very clear that if I shared that video, I'd be in a lot of trouble. I've got a video of Carl Fogarty's return to racing, and it was on a historic, matchless racing bike. It was going to be doing a full historic series, starting at Goodwood Revival, with Fred Wormsley, Barry Sheen's man, running the bike.
Wow.
And we filmed it. And Jonathan rang me and said, I need you to do something. I need you to be we need security on the gate. We need to get this guy in. It's going to be Carl Fogarty. It was the day of the him coming to do this test on the evening was a BSB test, I think it was a BSB test. So you'd had a lot of people in the venue. But to get them out, get him in without anyone knowing. And we went to all these lengths to get security sorted out, to make sure he ran down, if anyone knows Cadwell, down the lane at the back, down Lodge Lane, to go onto the circuit at the hairpin, which is the bit that the Crown owns. When I was there, it was the Queen. She owned that bit of track.
Really?
We'll come to that. And he had to go in there, disappear into the pit lane where no one would see him, and then once everyone had left the venue and there was only us and the birds there, he'd then test this matchless bike, and obviously the whole of Louth would hear him because it had no mufflers on, and we went to all these lengths, and he turns up in a massive modified Audi Q7 with foggy registration and drives through the paddock. And there's people doing autographs at the window like a footballer arriving for his first day at Manchester United. And I thought, yeah, this is how it's going to go, isn't it? But yeah, I've got this video that no one's ever seen of him talking, Fred talking.
That's incredible.
Talking about his comeback to racing. And then a week after, he had an accident at Dirtquake. And his wife, I think his wife's Michelle, is it? She said, "You're never racing again," because he injured himself quite badly. And, he's a very good source of income for the family, isn't he, Mr. Fogarty? And a legend, by the way.
Yeah.
Fantastic bloke. But yeah, stories like that were ace.
I just love those.
But very quickly,
go on.
The strip of track between Hairpin and Barn.
I've been black flagged and sent off that way.
Well, if you've been sent off that way, you'll have driven past a concrete pillar, which you won't have noticed. But if you look now, if you ever go there again, if you're ever sent off there again, there's a concrete pillar on your left as you go through the gate at Lodge. That is a marker, and it's a border marker, and it's in line with the Armco at the old Hairpin.
Yes.
It goes right the way across the track, and it cuts off, and that's Crownland. And Cadwell Park, even MSV now, rents that bit of the track
from the Crown.
It comes with a load of other things. They get so many tickets. They can use the access roads for things during the year. They can do hunting on there. So every now and again, I'd be in my office during the off season, and suddenly there'd be someone there with a shotgun shooting my birds. And it'd just be a random troop of farmers would just walk past, and I'd check the calendar and be like, oh, right, it's contracted hunting days. It's because the Queen owns the land. I had to write to the Queen every year and formally ask to use that bit of race circuit and invite her to Cadwell Park. She never came, by the way, unfortunately for me.
That's incredible.
And over the years, and in the vault in the archive at Cadwell, there were a load of plans of various owners of the circuit looking at how they could maybe pull it in a bit, the economics of actually moving the circuit outweighed actually paying the rent.
So from the Hairpin,
as you turn right at Hairpin,
and then down to, is it Farm or Barn? Barn.
Literally, that's so if you straight line where the Armco is, So basically into Hairpin, you're on Crownland, off Hairpin, and the farmland alongside there is all Crownland.
I never did like farmland; it's always too slippy for me. Just understeering.
Yeah, but imagine if they'd have pulled it in and made that 2.25 mile circuit.
That was a photograph on my website of me driving Dave's Mark II Escort rally car sideways around there, yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was a fascinating place, and something I'm really pleased that I did.
Yeah.
It took over my life, really took over my life. All the media stuff that we did, I did in my own time because it was such a busy job.
So did the rallying take a bit of a back seat while you were doing that? Yeah.
Yeah, massively so. And I went back to it because I decided that was where my life was. And I went to football as a deliberate move to expand my horizons beyond a subject matter I was passionate about. But if you like an industry, I could only go so far in, and I went to football. And
are you a football fan,
no.
or was it just a job?
No, it was, I'm a fan of Hull City, where I went to work because I'm from Hull, and the success has a big impact on where you live and where you work, and for that reason, it was something that was quite close to my heart, but not from a football point of view. So I was able to completely detach the subject matter from the job, and it did. It was another baptism of fire, another stretch. And another world that I probably was completely and woefully unprepared for. And of the two, I'd definitely go back to running a race circuit. Would I go back to running a football stadium? Absolutely not.
No.
It's a thankless task at the best of times, and
Yeah, I knew somebody who is a CEO of a football club. I won't mention him, and he was just stress bunny like you've never seen. Just don't envy him at all.
If life's one big adventure, which I do say quite often, then that was definitely a part of it, but it was a stressful and very difficult part of it, really.
A quick note, if you're looking for something to do this weekend, head to carevents.com and discover car events near you. So have you been in the car with anybody around Cadwell? and memorable ones.
Peter Hickman.
You've been on the back?
Yeah, he went through a brand new set of tyres on my safety car, which was a BMW M2, literally in the space of a few laps, completely. Rob Huff launched the Kia Stinger there for Kia for the media.
Okay.
And Rob Huff was the racing driver on the day, their ambassador. So I said to him, Rob, as part of my job, I have to sign the race circuit off and I have to sign off that you are able to drive the car around there. He looked at me like, are you kidding? And I looked at him as if to say, no, here's the bit of paper.
That you'd just printed out.
Yes. Yeah. So I got to go around with Rob Huff. Who...
it just sounds like...
Yeah, it was very entertaining.
Yeah, you never go anywhere without a helmet, do you?
No,
just in case.
Just
you know,
in
you
case.
never know, do you?
Yeah, it opens doors. No, and do you know what? I was always really busy and really dedicated myself to the job. So it looked like I was having a whale of a time and playing. And I'll admit, when we did the lunchtime demonstrations, I had everything from tractor parades to Group B rally cars on the most bizarre days you could ever imagine. We brought Formula 1, Formula 2 stock cars back to Cadwell Park for the first time in 60 years during a lunch break. And spilled so much oil on the circuit that I almost lost my job.
Yeah.
Those side valve V8s done half kick out some oil. I'm like, oh, what's that? Oh, that's oil everywhere. I'm going to make myself scarce now before Motorsport UK find me.
And some more cement.
Yeah, and sometimes I would drive the safety car. I would point myself safety car driver on those lunchtime demos. And you'd see my staff roll in their eyes because I'd fire off and suddenly realise that I'd actually left the trailer cars behind.
So what's the best thing you've driven around there? Quickest thing you've driven?
I haven't driven an awful lot around Cadwell Park, but I mean there was something really cool because Palmer Sport was a big part of MSV, and I got invited by Jonathan to help them with some customer experience. So obviously I had to drive all the cars at Palmer Sport, the F3000, the Le Mans
I've
prototype.
never actually done that, but I know a few people who have, and said it's the
Well, I was lucky enough to do the day
of
and then
sport.
just be able to keep driving around in the cars with the instructors and just have some fun because I was actually mapping out the customer journey, and we did some really important work that day. But I drove all the cars.
You keep telling yourself that. Yeah.
But the best car on the day, I loved the F3000, I loved the prototype, and I loved the M4 GTS and all that kind of stuff. But Ariel Atom was rubbish, by the way. Not a big fan of those at all. But the best car on the day was the Toka package Renault Clio touring car, which was the car that had been the Renault Clio trophy car with the British touring car Toka package. And Palmer Sport, Jonathan was a hell of a businessman. He used to always grab these cars just as they'd become obsolete while they were still current cars.
So fresh.
And they were brilliant. And I actually, for our start of the year Marshall training, I wanted a proper racing car for the Marshals to drive, not just a safety car. And everyone thought I was mad because it's Cadwell Park. And I was warned, any collateral damage and, it's more than your job's worth here. And I said, right, what can I have from the Palmer Sport collection? And Giles Butterfield, who, by the way, is one of the best people I've ever met in the sport. He was the operations director, or group operations manager. Loved that guy to bits. He said to me, I'm really going out on a limb here because it won't just be your job if you crash this. I said, well, it's not me. It's the 25 Marshals who are going to be driving it. It might crash it, Giles. And honestly, I've never been so nervous because they shipped this thing over from Bedford and we got this Toka Clio. First of all, we soiled the spark plugs trying to start the thing, and we had to put a new set of spark plugs in, which are like 1,500 quid or something. And because someone had tried to start it before I'd actually got out to explain to them, you can't do it like that.
There's a method.
Yes, because it's a proper race engine. But once we got it fired up and didn't dare then turn it off for the entire day, the marshals had to sign off to say they'd done 3 laps of Cadwell Park at speed with a race instructor. So Mike Gorton, who was Barwell's instructor for the Lamborghini team and also drove their trucks. He was one of the MSV instructors and he was our head instructor. Great guy. I love Mike to bits. He thought I was mad, but he took on the very risky job of being my instructor for the day, making sure that car came back in one piece. And at the end of the day, he kept saying all the way through the day, you've got to have a go, you've got to have a go. And I'm like, I'm not, because if anyone's going to bin it, it'll be me. Yeah. And I'll never live it down. I'll probably lose my job, and I'll regret all those people putting their faith in me to let me borrow this car. Anyway, at the end of the day,
you had to go.
Yeah, I had to go. And we went out after all the marshals had left, and they promptly heard the car again and came back in and watched to see if I'd crash it, and I didn't. And honestly, pulling the gears in that thing and the brakes in it and the way it turned in, I can still feel it now. And it was just incredible. I loved that. It was great fun. And Mike pushed me and pushed me and pushed me to the point where I thought, I am about to crash it. I'm going to back off and go home now. And there's a video on my YouTube, and I mounted the camera right behind my seat. I don't know why I did that. So all you can see is my seat in the roll cage, and every now and again a bit of green flash past in the windscreen in the corner where you can just about see some windscreen. But it sounds great, so I put it on there anyway. So that's probably the best thing I've driven around there. But the Spark Mini, the green Tiger Mini, was then the most exciting thing I've ever driven around there.
I love Cadwell. It's by far my favourite circuit.
If no one's been to Cadwell before and listening to this thinking I've heard of it, just go.
It's the best circuit. It's
incredible.
So much.
And if you're not a very fast or a very talented driver, or you don't drive a very fast car, Cadwell will make you feel fast because everything's a lot closer and it's twisty. And you go to Silverstone or you go to Donington, they're wonderful circuits, but
just so
you need a
fast.
Formula One car to feel like you're actually doing anything.
Yeah.
And you've got no sense of speed because everything's so far away.
Yeah.
I remember doing Silverstone once in a stock hatch Fiesta, and I'm flat out thinking I was doing about 40 miles an hour. I get to the end of the hangar straight and took my exhaust off going onto the grass because I was like, I need to brake now, and I'm doing 90 because it just feels like there's nothing to mark your speed.
I did a test day, track day in a Radical SR3 at Donington a few weeks back. Yeah.
A few weeks back?
Yeah.
How's your back?
Bad. I'll never learn. Absolutely phenomenal thing. But you get onto the straights and there's M5s passing you.
Yeah.
Because they top out at 130, 135 mile an hour. And these things are just going past.
No reverse gear, is there either?
No, there is.
Wouldn't be any good for me.
No.
Oh, no?
There is reverse, yeah. So, I didn't want to spin it though, so I didn't want to take the front splitter off. Yeah. Saw the price of it. But yeah, the point is, they're phenomenal around the corners on the brakes, carrying speed through the corner of the aero. But you just get on a straight and things just boom, past you on a fast circuit.
If you're not an experienced driver, do not take Jim's advice and drive a Radical SR3 at Cadwell Park, please, because they'll be suing your podcast.
They are quick.
Amateur drivers in an aerial atom or a Radical always go off at the top of the mountain as soon as the car goes light, because they keep their foot in and they land and the car goes, whichever way they don't want it to go, and it usually hits a barrier up there.
I've got a photograph of me airborne over the mountain in a Porsche. And that's me in the car.
A silver Porsche?
No, black one.
From just a few years ago?
Yeah.
I think I've seen that photo. I think I probably posted it on the Cadwell Park.
It'll be on my social media. I think it might have been my homepage on my social media for a
track
while.
day?
Yeah. I say airborne. There's definitely, probably only that.
I've seen it. Yeah, there's definitely. If it's the same photo I'm thinking of.
Yeah. So that's how, me in a heavy Porsche goes airborne. Yeah, a Radical will just...
Not quite superbike airborne. I remember standing there watching the bikes come towards me and thinking, I can see actual trees underneath that bike.
Yeah, they come over on the back wheel and the back wheel goes that far off the floor. It's incredible. I mean, just...
Formula Jedi. That's the highest I've ever seen a car get off the ground over the mountain.
Is it?
Jedi engine Formula car. Incredible.
Yeah.
And they land and it honestly... It looks like the end of something, and then they all manage to carry on every time.
And then you've got to chuck it into the S's because that straight is quite short.
Those things look terrifying. But incredible of the mountain.
Anyway, we've digressed again.
You're welcome, MSV. So he's still promoting the old circuit even now.
The mini Nürburgring, phenomenal. I love the
Jonathan's already turned it off, by the way.
Has he?
Yeah, he's turned this off already.
He's just bored. So I wouldn't say anything about him now.
He turned it off when I told him when I used his accent.
It's the accent about Ron Haslam. Yeah, it's your fault. So who's your favourite celeb you've had round there? If you could take one day back again, meet somebody there again to relive it, who would that be?
There's someone who's already been there that I met there.
Yeah.
Jeremy Clarkson. Again, I went back home from a holiday because Jeremy was driving the Lotus Cortina.
Oh, okay.
For the funeral of a Ford, last episode in the first series of the Grand Tour. When he's driving that Mark 1 Lotus Cortina rally car, and he's going down Park Street, it's like a murder of mad bees. That was just the best day ever. And I turned up, and he was ace. Yeah. And Lisa, who wasn't known then because she was just at the half,
she was with him.
Yeah, she was with him, and he was doing impressions to my eldest son Mason, who'd come back with me, and we got photos of Jeremy, and he was doing impressions of the noise that the Cortina makes, and he turned around. Sorry, it's the other way around. Lisa was making impressions of the noise, and he turned around and said, "Please never do that again." Just funny. They were just a funny pair, and I loved. He's one of my heroes.
I can imagine
watching Top Gear growing up.
Yeah.
And after that, I got invited to the Grand Tour, and we went to Whitby, and it was just and I love Jeremy. So. Jeremy Clarkson, Lotus Cortina, Cadwell Park, and seeing my circuit on the Grand Tour was a special day. So it'll be that day. So
talking about dreams and reminiscing, the dream for the 3-car garage. Lottery win.
Land 037.
Yeah.
Mark II Lotus Cortina.
Mm-hmm. Rally car or?
I don't mind.
Okay.
It can be either. I know, I'm going to go GT, actually. GT.
Okay.
Mark II Cortina GT. And, oh my goodness me. Third one's hard, isn't it? We have to come back. But Porsche 917.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm obsessed with cars that have their oily bits hanging out of the back end.
No,
which is
I
a bit
get that.
worrying, isn't it? But
That's what floats your boat.
yeah.
I get it.
Stubby race and rally cars that don't look quite finished, that were built for a purpose, completely uncompromising, liable to kill you at any moment, and have fantastic
It's that
stories.
jeopardy. That's what makes you feel alive, isn't it?
Yeah. I should have said Clan Crusader, really, shouldn't I?
I was waiting for that one.
But you only give me
You've got-
3 and...
Yeah, we've had 4 before now, so...
All right, well, I'll stick a Clan.
Crusader's the 4th.
The Clan can sort of hang from the rafters above them all.
It can sit
That lie.
outside the garage, can't it?
But it'd have to be RR19, which is a very special Clan Crusader. It's the unknown works car that was built from the works department after the rally successes, and it exists in the hands of a man called Paul Mankin, who wrote off a works spec car recently, and he owns this road car that he does classic tours in.
And you've had a
It's
go in
silver.
it yet?
No, I've not even seen it in the flesh. Paul Mankin knows that I want to go in this. He also knows that I need him to keep it just long enough for me to afford to buy it at one point in my life.
Should we send him a link to this podcast?
I will do, yeah. So Paul Mankin, RR19, please. I'll just navigate for you on a classic tour, really.
And I'll invite him back on to come and talk about it.
Yeah. That would be boring. I would bore you. I've done a documentary on Clan Crusaders. You want to be bored to death about a little-known early 70s sports car that became a rally legend that no one's ever heard of, then go and search for Clan Crusader Paul Woodford on YouTube. It's very niche.
So talking about documentaries, what going forward, what's the big dream? What's the aspirations? What's next?
I would love to make a proper rally movie. I'd love to do that. And it would be 70s rallying, pre-Group B.
So it would be as it was, not done for TV like the glory is.
It would be... I quite like the style of Rush, for example. I love the F1 movie, and I know people will be groaning now, like, oh, you've ruined it. But I think it needs a bit of that glamour and Hollywood panache to add to the story. But no, it would be a 70s rally film, but it would be the people's stories. You know, it'd be the real life heroes who risked everything to be pioneers and adventurers beyond their limits, beyond the limits of what we knew about cars at the time. I'd love to do that. It might even be the Monte story, the Monte Carlo mini story. It would be something like that. I'd love to do that. I think no one's really done it. No one's really told a visceral story of the heroes and what they mean to our world that came from rallying.
What they went through growing up. Now it's almost on a platter for those people. Yeah, the R&D they did back then.
Yeah.
It was,
It was the whole thing.
you're taking your life in your hands and...
Yeah. So, I'd love to make a proper rally movie, but it'd have to be the big budget. And I'd want, to really go to town on the people at the time. And
so if anybody out there is listening...
I do a really good job of it, and I've got the script in mind. I've got a degree in script writing, don't you know? I was taught by Jim Hawkins, who wrote The Bill and EastEnders, and used to eat bits out of his beard that he'd left in there from the day before, and always smelled of alcohol.
Probably too much information.
But I was taught properly. Good old days of script writers.
I love it. On that note, I'm going to leave it there.
You can't end on an old man eating bits out of his beard.
I don't know what I can do to top that.
No. What would your 4-car garage be?
My 4-car garage, my big lottery win would be a Chimera. 100%. I've never actually seen one in the flesh, but I have followed them since they started building. I mean, to me, Lancia, 037, Delta, yeah.
I can tell you that in the flesh, Cole's seen one as well. We saw, this is the new 037 recreation. We saw one at Bicester Ocean for the scramble at the beginning of the year, New Year's Day scramble. Oh my goodness me.
Have you seen the write-ups on them?
Yeah.
Just tick, 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 tick. Every box, the best car.
It's horny.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean...
Don't clip that bit on its own. Do not clip that bit on its own. Coming soon. Yeah. It's horny.
That's gonna be the intro to the podcast. New Chimera. It's horny.
I saw Harry sit up and he noted down to clip that bit for the trail.
Yeah, I mean, if it was a 1-car garage, that would be it. But a 3-car garage, 4-car garage, there'd have to be a McLaren in there, probably a 765 LT, or even a 675 LT. Mark II Escort, probably. Yeah, just fun things. Just I like going fast and I like going sideways. What's not to like?
It's your rules, so we can swap garages, can't we? We can share.
Yeah, we can have a mix up.
So
yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah.
I'm happy with my choices now that I can.
Yeah,
I messed the Chimera
now you
off.
can have a go in a Chimera. Yeah, it's like
you can try my original
my
Walter
Crusader. Oh yeah,
037.
Yeah,
if you
definitely.
like.
Thank you. Very kind.
No, I want a Marco LM1. Yeah, you can try that if you like.
I've actually still got some original Martini clothing somewhere at home.
Have you really?
Yeah.
But it still smells of the good old days, doesn't it?
I don't think it'll fit me anymore. In fact, I know damn well it won't. On that note.
Thank you for watching. We hope you found this podcast horny and informative. You can clip that. Thanks for having me, mate.
No, I could chat all day. We will have to do it again sometime because I know there's a lot more stories.
On the auto test course here, next time York Motorsport
yeah,
do an auto test.
100%, yes.
We'll just do a very serious podcast on an auto test course with me doing handbrake turns and skiddies.
Well, we could set all this up in the middle. They could do donuts round us. Yeah, 360s round us. Harry, you'll have to get a bit of some...
And every now and again, I'll get up, disappear and go and do some zoomies and then come back.
Yeah, perfect. What could possibly go wrong?
Coming up in part 2.
On that note, I'm going to leave it there. Thanks ever so much for coming in, mate. Much appreciated. I know you've enjoyed it. Been great chatting. Hope you guys have enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for listening.
If this podcast has been suitably informative and horny, you can subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, and all those other wonderful places that you get your podcasts. If you like the look of us, I suggest you watch. If you don't, and you would prefer us as acoustic wallpaper, that would be my selection, then you can listen instead, probably when you're driving and only half listening to our waffle.